Today we celebrate one of the nicest days or events of the year, Mother's Day. It's a day when we honor our mothers. We recognize in so many, hopefully it's not the only day of the year, but it is a day that highlights, the honor that is due to them. We recognize it in a special way. And we do this in many different ways, taking into account and holding up all the sacrifices our mothers have made for us to be where we are, basically get to be where we are. It began with conception, and it never really stops through life. It takes on different forms as we get older, but it never really stops. I'm always my mother's son. Sometimes I'm reminded of that. Our mothers are kind of like the ground of our existence. And when we think of our mothers, hopefully we know love. Today, on this 6th Sunday of Easter, we celebrate a love that gives a mother's love any true and lasting meaning. We celebrate a love from which all or any of the love our mother had for us and we have for her flows. Today, we hear of Jesus teaching us about what true love is. From John 15:9, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love." Jesus is revealing to us something about the inner life of God. He is opening up the Holy Trinity to us, which is the most profound, it's the most profound truth that we know, and we could never, ever have reason to it. The very fact that we even know a concept of the Trinity indicates its revelatory or miraculous nature, because we would never have thought of this. So he's revealing something about the inner life of the Holy Trinity to us, the very nature of God and love, a love that gives meaning to all authentic loves in our lives, especially the love of our mother for us and us for our mother. There are 3 things that Jesus teaches us in today's gospel that are so important. The first is, and it will sound a little technical at first, but I'll try to explain it. God is not so much a noun. Remember from old grammar school, or at least when we took grammar in school, I don't know what they call it now, but a noun is a person, place, or thing. So still is burned in my head. But it's not so much that God is a noun, he's a verb. God is a verb. That's not to say God isn't a noun, he's a person, but he's more a verb. Now, almost every religious philosophy teaches us that God loves. But only Christians understand and teach that God is love. God is love. Love is not something that God does from time to time. But again, and I'll say this many times, God is love. I'm not forgetting what I'm saying, right? I'm not looping in my brain. God is love. God is loving from all eternity. He's never stopped loving. He can't stop loving. It is what God is. From all eternity, every millisecond of our life, God is loving us. This is really important because many people think when they're suffering or they've committed some terrible sin that God doesn't love them anymore. That's because of the way we mess with each other's minds and hearts in this world. But God can't stop loving us. He can't stop loving. It's not possible for God. God can hate, to use a human expression, what we do. God hates sin, but God can't hate me. It's not possible. God can't even hate the devil. God loves all of his children, all of his creation. Jesus teaches us to avoid thinking that love is God, because then we can divinize human love, which is very dangerous, actually. So he teaches us to avoid thinking that love is God or that God has love, and directs us to the truth that God is love. Love is the very, as we would say, is the very to be of God. Now, this is absolutely critical because I cannot know God unless I enter into the dynamics of love. Because I'll say it again, God is love. So how can I know God if I don't enter into to love. And I'm trying to think or have relationship with God in some different way, and I can't unless I enter into love. Because love is the very being of God. Then God does not fall in and out of love, you see, like we do. God is not up and down like a seesaw when it comes to love. God is, and I put that in capitals, God is love. See, it's so absolutely critically important. It's essentially important. It's foundationally important. This is why all human love must be founded upon God's love. Otherwise, it is destined to run out of steam. It's destined to fail. So that's the first thing, that God is love. He's more of a verb. God is a verb rather than a noun. Secondly, Jesus continues to teach us that you did not choose me. It was I who chose you. He chose me. He chose all of us. And he did it individually. What is this all about? Well, God loves us with a love of predilection, a word that's not common in our language anymore. He loves us with a love of predilection. It's a special preference for you and for me, for each and every one of us, not just for the masses, but for each and every one of us. He loves us with a special preference for you and for me. We did not choose God. We could not choose God. Now, we, my brothers and sisters, are not in the driver's seat when it comes to God. We're very much in the passenger seat. That's where we're going to be totally happy, totally at peace and possess total joy, is that we acknowledge that it's God who initiates the process. It is God who chose us because he loves us and wants to be in friendship, in relationship with us. This is what gives life its ultimate meaning. The Creator and King of the universe wants us, chooses us to exist, for us to be in relationship with him. It just doesn't get higher than this or better. So that's the second thing, is that God loves us with a love of predilection, with a special, specific love for you and for me individually by name. Number 3 is, once we know this, do we just sit back and say, well, that's great? Or like, so? But let's say we say, well, that's wonderful. That's just, it fires my cells. It fires my brain cells, my heart. What do we do with it? We got to respond to this. And that's the third thing. We see that God is love and that God loves me and loves you with a love of predilection. We cannot just sit by and do nothing. Think of how your mother would feel if she did all that she has done for you and you didn't even respond to her. You'd break her heart. You'd break her heart, right? No, we wouldn't do that unless we were some, dead, cold fish. But if, let's say, for the sake of the conversation, or I guess monologue, that we did, that's what we did. Well, we know this would really hurt our mother. Even more so with God. And we can't hurt God the way we can hurt each other. But still, it would damage our relationship with him. This love, this choice of God for us even demands a response on our part. That response is to give him our life and our love, our whole life, all of it. That's why God says you must love the Lord your God, not you must know the Lord your God. Yeah, we have to know God, that's true, but it's not a virtue. We have to know him, but God says in the commandments, you must love the Lord your God, and with all that makes us human beings, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and I would contend all your body. Everything, every cell in your body, our whole being. When this happens, we begin to finally understand, that the commandments are not onerous. The commandments, they are not burdensome or like rocks around our neck. The commandments and precepts of the church are not straitjackets, that sort of hem us in and prevent us from being free. Rather, the commandments are manifestations of love. It's kind of like this. A marriage without love is a relationship with a checklist. That's all it is. A marriage without love is a relationship with a checklist. And this is all too true, unfortunately. A marriage with love has no checklist, but duties of love. Every relationship that is loving has duties. And these are filled with a dynamism, even though we may not feel great when we do them, like who likes to put out the garbage? I mean, it stinks, right? Or who likes to change a stinky, diaper? But parents don't sit there and debate, well, maybe they do for a few minutes, but they do it. That's the point. They do it because they love their child. They're not going to leave their child there, with dirty diapers. So these are filled with a dynamism that does not drag us down, but make us bitter or lead us to count how many times I did that and you did this. And then we get into this counting thing, which always ruins love. Always ruins love. I always do this. You never do this. I did this 5 times. You did this 10 times. Now you have to do it. If it gets to that point, communication is probably already broken down. This, my brothers and sisters, when this is absent and there's true love, there's no checklist, there's duties for love, this bears the fruit of joy. Jesus tells us this. That's not me. Jesus is saying this is where joy really comes in. If there is no love, then everything becomes a chore and a bore. With love, our relationship suddenly takes on a new life and new meaning. All of this brings us back to Mother's Day. If you really want to understand the profound importance of motherhood and your mother, as fully human as she is to realize that she loved us and chose us over and over and over again, even though she may not have used those words. I'm choosing my child over and over and over again. But the acts of love were countless, and they still are countless. Now it is our part to respond to all of her sacrifices, pray for her, thank God for her, phone her, and thank her for all that she has done. Love her in Jesus Christ. So do you think you know love? Then look even beyond the love of your mother has for you, and that you have for your mother, and think of God who is love and has chosen you and your mother to be in heaven one day to share in his love. How will you and I respond to so great a love that hangs on the cross and leaves the tomb for us? This is love. This is the love that has been loving for all eternity. It has never began, it always is, and it always will be. All of our authentic loves will have their true meaning in this love. That's why God says, love God first. That's the first commandment. And then if we do this, we will love our parents even better with a purer love, and we'll be more affectionate to them, we'll be more dutiful to them, and it won't be, oh God, I have to do this again type of thing, but it'll be a duty rooted in love. This is love, the only true love that will give us lasting joy.